Welcome to DORAGONS Domain. I am Dorgan Kishu, Paladin and Dragon Rider. This is episode 5, and it will be an update to my current 5e campaign, where I play THORIN RYO, Paladin. For the previous updates, I originally did a blog post called The Journal of THORIN RYO, and I will put the link below. And then I did my first DORAGONS Domain vlog, and I will put a link for that one, that where I made a transition from blogging it to vlogging it. And for those that are not wanting to go back and check out the previous updates, I will go ahead and give the parties' names. First of all, a few weeks ago we decided to call our group the League of Unity, and we were all, none of us knew each other, but we met in the city of Pinnacle, and we all took on a quest to help defend Pinnacle's allies in what's called the Gainsborough Sands, where there are sieging gnolls. So we ended up all kind of meeting and becoming a group, and we're going off on this quest to try to defend the allies from these gnolls. First of all, we have Leonor Sunbringer, who is an elven fighter, and he's kind of the most outspoken in the group. And then we have Aranar, elven. I thought he was a druid, but I think he might be a mage. In the land of Tishamber, where this campaign takes place, magic is kind of frowned upon, so this character had kind of kept his magic secret up to this point. But during this our game last night, he finally just said, F it, and then he used his magic. So now we know he's a magic user. So our next is Fildere Erifina, and she's, I believe, another elven fighter. She's one of our quieter members. Aranor and her are pretty quiet, but I try to make. Well, I'm not the dungeon master, but I do kind of, as the paladin, I do try to kind of check in with everybody and get their opinions during, because sometimes they can be overshadowed a little bit. And then we have Ashcan, who is a human ranger and also is our guide into the Gainsborough Sands. We have 2 NPCs that are ran by the dungeon master. The first is Walker, who is a rogue and is very chatty, and our second is a thief. Actually, we have 3. So we have a thief that Leonor pulled into the group and made him a squire, because he wasn't really an experienced adventurer. And Leonor just wants to try to improve his life, so he's pulling him out of the city and from being a common thief. We'll see how that works out. And then the third NPC is Ulfin, which is like a 5'2" by 5 foot wide, looks like a block barbarian dwarf that has a really high-pitched voice. And then our latest member was Nikana, and she is a barbarian. She's 6 foot something. She's very tall, maybe 6'7". Woman, long white hair, older. She looks around 50, but she's actually older than that. But she's tan. She's not very friendly, and she obviously has some kind of agendas going on. So we haven't got her to admit anything yet, but she's a little bit tough to travel with, but she's very strong. And then I'm THORIN RYO, swordsman of Mount Forge, and servant to King Landrich, and paladin of Tethamber. And my backstory has not been revealed either, but so I probably won't even bring that up this time. But so on this quest, very quickly after we went off on this quest and ran into Nikana and had her join our group, we came across a shack which was a typical kind of sand shack. Had a guy in it that was stabbed. His wife had been taken by a group, by what is called a death squad. We'd heard about these death squads in the city of Pinnacle. Supposedly there's these group of Gainsborough Sand people who come into the city and take magic users and go kill them because they're against magic. So anyway, they came here, they stabbed this guy, they took his wife because she had some kind of magic abilities, and we went with the help of our druid, or Aranar's abilities. He was able to track our way to an actual oasis, which then had a giant cave that's shaped like a skull appeared. And then we went into the cave, and we went through this one path, which was, you step on certain areas in the floor, then arrows came out, a la Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Ashcan, our ranger, did get struck in the shoulder, but I was able to help him out. And then we battled a giant spider, a giant black furry spider, and swarms of babies that came out of it once we killed it. And then we came across a quicksand area where Ulfin, our dwarf, there's like a path that was barely visible, and it was difficult to get across. So Ulfin, our barbarians NPC, stayed back, and the rest of us went forward, and we heard voices, and we heard some of the stuff they said, and there were 3 quote-unquote thugs within, the ones that I think we determined had taken the girl. So then we went into battle. There was one giant guy with a giant mace who was really dangerous. And there was a little guy, and then there was this really good swordsman. The little guy at some point struck his own guy, the big guy, and the big guy just turned around and knocked his head off. So the little guy was gone. Our plan was that we were going to leave one of them alive to interrogate, right? So we had to take out the big guy. And we finally killed him. But in the meanwhile, the swordsman actually took down our Fildere, our fighter, not unconscious. We were able to bring her back up. And then also Leonard also was taken out by the spider, and we brought him back up. So it's been a challenging adventure for a bunch of level 1s. Right, so we questioned the swordsman, and the swordsman then convinced us, I think it's true, that actually these kill squads are actually trying to help these mages and/or arcane users, and it ends up that they said that there is a curse. These gnolls, when they scratch you or bite you, it does some kind of curse on magic users, and they start to change into these kind of like frothing, out of control people. So there was a sage within this facility. This place is just not a facility, is like a cave. There was a sage that was trying to help the girl. It was too late for her. He said maybe she had one more day left before she'd break loose and attack, and so we decided to just let him. Basically, he just kills them once he can't treat them. So we left him to that. He sent his swordsman back, who we released, back to the husband to let him know the whole story, because apparently the big guy we had killed was the one that stabbed the husband, and it was not a good thing. Obviously, it's one of the main reasons we went after this group, and but it ends up that he's acting on his own, and that these guys sound like they're supposedly decent guys. This is where I was saying in the title, maybe, or no, I said it in a tweet, that our campaign kind of flipped upside down, because now these death squads aren't necessarily the enemy. And also Ashcan, our player who plays Ashcan, wasn't there last night, so he just told, I guess, a rock hit his head and knocked him out with his character, as opposed to having the DM run it, but that's alright, I guess. But anyway, his whole thing is to go after these death squads, and my backstory has something to do with these magic people and things, without going into that. But yeah, so now this is the very end. We were what happened was that we didn't quite know our bearings. So Nakana wanted to continue with the quest. She was very ferocious about it, and Ulfin, all the other barbarian, also wanted to. They didn't. I missed something. When we got out of the cave, our rogue had been knocked out. Our thief had been taken there were footsteps by somebody, and there was some camel that was gone, so he took the camel, I guess. And I'm not sure. There were no camel footsteps. Anyway, so Leonard wanted to go find the thief, but Ulfin and Nakana just wanted to continue with the quest. And there was this big debate. It looked like the group was going to split. Then we came to the realization that the quest and and the footprints taking the thief were going in the same direction. So that's where we're at. Our group is now together still, but there's a lot of dissent. There's party members that they were about to split, and perchance it has ended up that our thief was taken in the direction of the Knolls and the Blightlands. So that's where we're at. And yeah, so I do updates for my party. I'll probably be doing them once a week. Didn't do one last week because we weren't able to play. And in my next episode of DORAGONS Domain, I will continue the creation of Frost Realm, which is going very well. And I'm having a lot of good feedback and interaction and support in some cases from the Dungeons and Dragon RPG community out there on Twitter. So yeah, so I appreciate you checking us out, and I'll see you on Twitter.